Hey, so I didn't mention the doctor that I'm seeing or how I found him. So let's talk about that for a minute. I initially started looking right after the pandemic. Yep, I'm one of those. But that's okay. Hey, I had the time, I had the finances in mind, figured I'd look at my options, so I started there. I live in the Southeast Kansas area, and so I have no real good medical resources in my area, especially not something for this special. So I went to my next big metropolitan area. For me, it's Tulsa. So I went down to Tulsa. I ended up setting up an appointment and seeing a plastic surgeon for a consult. The plastic surgeon I went to is a private practicing one. He has hospital privileges, but he doesn't work for the hospital. And at the time I went to see him, he didn't really advocate the masks, which we were still, like I said, it was fresh out of the pandemic. So everybody was still supposed to be wearing masks. There was lots of CDC guidelines about, masking up and things like this. And I was in a very crammed little examination room with him and his assistant. Nobody's masking. And I am, because I work for a public service job. Plus I have several side gigs on the side. COVID is not going to stop any of those. So I wore one, but he didn't. And that kind of bothered me from the beginning. Okay, your opinion politically is absolutely fine, but if your job involves cutting me open and you are not listening to established medical resources, dude. Okay, so that threw me off. But I listened to what he had to say anyway, because I made the hour trip down here. And when I did that, he took a look at my abdomen and he said, well, he didn't really want to touch the abdominal muscles at all. He thought if he did anything that way, any kind of slicing and tucking and pulling and all sorts of stuff, that he might actually risk adhesions, which is literally what it sounds like. It's the abdominal wall sticks to your intestines. Not comfortable. And so he wasn't going to mess with those at all. But hey, what he did want to do was just tighten my my skin. And then I would hunch over for about 2 weeks before, so the skin didn't stretch out, and then everything would be fine. He really had a problem when I said I was not going to use any kind of opiates. He said there was no way I could get through that surgery without them. Even though I said, dude, I've been through 9 surgeries, major abdominal surgeries, where they are cutting into my abdominal walls, and I've never needed opiates. And he was still like, yeah, you've just never been through this one before, so you really need the opiates. But trust me, we'll give you something to combat the, what did he say? It was combat the anaphylaxis. Okay, for those of you who are not Googling anaphylaxis right now, anaphylaxis is bad. You don't court that. Anyway, okay, so second big red flag, and I'm like, or 3, depending on how you feel about that forced opiates thing. We weren't really going there. But his plan was to have me hunched over, force opiates into me, and then just tighten my skin. And for the grand total of $11,000. Okay. For $11,000, I am not going to fuck with opiates or deal with being hunched over and only getting skin tightened. I mean, that just sounds like a bit much, right? So I dropped it, didn't get into it any further. And then last year in about October, I just thought about it again. Okay, would somebody who behaved like that really be the only representative source for, plastic surgery in my area? And I do go, my primary physician does practice out of St. Francis in Tulsa. So I went ahead and I looked at the hospital's website. Lo and behold, yeah, they have a plastic surgery department. And yeah, I really could have thought about that ahead of time, but I went ahead and I made an appointment, and I saw the plastic surgery department in St. Francis, and my surgeon down there seems really nice, and he listened to me. I talked about what's going on here, and what he told me was that they're not going to slice into the abdominal muscles. What he's going to do is my abdominal muscles are very loose now, but what he could do is he could cinch them up. Take the separation and just sew it all together. He actually described it like cinching a corset. Okay. I am an underwear aficionado. You had me at cinching a corset. On top of that, he is going to be slicing into the muscle, tightening that all down. And he said he doesn't think right now it's going to be a big issue, but just in case, if the skin isn't viable enough around my belly button, the worst case scenario, I may not have a belly button by the time we're done, but he does hope to just build me one in if the skin looks good in that area. He's not really sure how many times I've been cut open in my navel either. And it's been enough times that it's caused a hernia. And not a big one. It's just a little one. But still, I didn't even know I had a hernia. So, that was kind of interesting. But anyway, the surgery is going to take about 3.5 hours. He thinks that it's just going to be an outpatient surgery unless I want to stay overnight in the hospital. He says I should be in and out the same day. I never want to stay in the hospital. I had my kids in a half an hour. I was ready to go home both of those times too. They only made me stay in because it's like there was some, insurance thing or whatever. But, I am always ready to go home. So I'm going to do that unless there's some reason for me to stay in. Don't yell at me yet. I'm not dumb about that. But he is willing to work with me as far as no opiates and narcotics. And the grand total for the surgery is going to be about $6,000. $6,000 to get everything done. Now, I did not think about asking about liposuction at the time. I was just really excited to get a different opinion on it. So I guess I'll be calling up and asking about it afterwards if that's going to be an issue that gets into this. Otherwise, maybe somebody will know that at my pre-op. I have that scheduled in just like tomorrow, I think it is. But anyway, after that, we will see how that goes. But anyway, like I've said before, I am not representing any kind of medical treatment, advice, anything like that. I'm not qualified to do it I'm less qualified to do it literally than the plastic surgeon who didn't want to mask up during COVID. So taking that in mind, you definitely want to follow up if you are considering any kind of treatments with licensed practicing physicians. Hopefully somebody who, also follows medical guidelines, but we might talk about that here and after a little bit. And keeping in mind that everything I am journaling in this is my experience. So your experience might be totally different. I'm just hoping to have a conversation. Anyway, if you like this kind of material and you want to see more of it, check out toilandtroublemedia.com. We're also on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Like, subscribe, comment, follow, do all that good stuff. Please, it helps me out. Anyway, we'll talk to you later. Bye.